much for being there, dear listener. And let's begin. I'd like to begin with you, Professor Tahuli. What is your assessment of the relationship between the public and political office holders?
Thank you so much for that question. The relationship between political office holders and the electorate, or if you like, the general public, ought to be one of master and servant. It ought to be that way because the master is the electorate, the servant is the person whom you have sent for whatever position, be it governor, be it House of Assembly, chairman, House of Reps, Senate, and so on and so forth. Um, this is because those people are going there essentially to represent your interests. And that is why, in the case of parliament, they are all called representatives. They are going there to protect your interests, particularly from the executive arm. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, either due to poverty or perhaps, I think I should say, perhaps given the pervasive poverty, uh, we seem to take it the other way around, so that the elected people or the representative now become our masters, and we that are really the masters become the subjected people. And this is because we that elected them, most of the times, we sell our own conscience to them for a plate of pottage, to use that language. Everybody who is voting any person in Nigeria, sadly, well, not everybody, majority at least, who are voting people in Nigeria these days, do so on primordial basis. They are thinking of what they are personally going to get out from that person. And once the person enters the office, they begin to pipe pressure on him so that they can actualize what they wanted by putting him there. And so, this now, and most of the things that we request from these elected officials are things that are way beyond their official capacities. And so they have to cut corners in order to beat it. Believe me, if you are to go to any house of an elected official this morning as we're speaking now, you are likely to find 10, 15, if not more people waiting to see him. And they're not coming because there is a genuine concern in the community for the person to attend to. They are coming for what I would call their stomach infrastructure or whatever else they want to attend to. So if they lose their grandmother, they come to the elected person to give them coffee. If they lose their daughter, their wife, God forbid, and all those kind of relations, they are still there for the same reason. If for any reason they have a headache, they are coming to look for money to buy Panadol. And if it is in the rainy season, it will soon occur, it will soon come, then they are looking for money to go and buy herbicides or fertilizers or even the seedlings. And you want to ask what happened to last year's seedlings. But let's leave that by the side. So with all this amount of pressure mounted on the people that we have now put in place, the people now have to cut corners for them. And sadly, this cutting of corners leads to corruption.
Well, we're going to interrogate that deeper. You have even gone beyond the scope of the question, but we'll get to that. Engineer Dwayne, I am with you now. Give us your thoughts about the relationship between elected persons and the public. What is the relationship meant to be like? What is your assessment of it?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Just like Prof said, he has done justice to what you have just asked. And I will just be doing a little. Public office holders are supposed to be public servants. And then they ought to represent the interests of the public. Sadly, when you are elected into an office, those who supported you are the bigger headaches. There is a primary objective of electing somebody in an office. And once you get there, just like Prof said, what you see is not what was in the manifesto. They begin to bring in their own personal things and then mix the two together. And in the course of trying to mix the two together, you, who is not, who does not have stamina, will deviate from the main agenda. And I want to tell you, they will be the first people to go back and tell the people that you are not doing well. They place their personal gains above the primary assignment. And once you begin to tell them that, look, I had a manifesto, these were the promises I made to the people, they will begin to give you unprintable names. And therefore, if you are not strong enough, you will deviate from the main agenda. And once you leave, because of the personal gains they want to get, if they don't get it, they go back to the public and begin to blackmail, begin to paint you black. So just like he said, the entire aim of what was you are supposed to do is sometimes defeated because once somebody is elected to an office, especially in Nigeria, you have a 2 term to run. You begin to think about those things. And then, if you're not careful, you will deviate from the main agenda. But just like Prof had clearly defined, you as an elected officer is a servant of the people. And they are the masters. But here in our society today, the servants are turned masters, and the masters are turned servants. I think this is what has been giving us trouble over a while. But if you have the political will and you proceed, after some time, the people themselves begin to see that what you did after, mostly in Benue, it is after you leave office. People begin to assess you correctly. But I want to tell you clearly in your studio here that politically, this leads to corruption. Because as a local government chairman, your security vote is 1 million. Your protocol money is 1 million naira. Your salary is barely about 260,000. And this we're discussing about 2.2 million naira. And if 26 people will bring 100,000 naira problem for you, within 3 days, you have exhausted that money. And then you begin to look where you will definitely get something and then keep your support base. So I can tell you. So basically, the pressure on public office holders sometimes, or most times, leads to what we are talking about here.
Okay. Prof, I am back to you. To what extent do political office holders prioritize the interests of the public that elected them into office?
Thank you. Well, sadly, most times they don't prioritize it. I'm happy my colleague here has already mentioned that. Maybe due to this reason we're discussing. But it is because they have also failed to prioritize why they are elected that we are where we are. Most of the issues that we have raised, issues of hunger, issues of barriers, issues of any other personal thing you can think about, if our political office holders stand their feet and implement the policies so that we should stop complaining about minor things like going to hospital, eating food, trying to look for soup in a day, and so on, they too will rest. People will no longer disturb them. People are disturbing them because, in the first place, those amenities are not there. The average life of a Nigerian is one of toil, anger, and I don't even know what next word to use. Let me just explain. You have to source for your water. You have to source for your power. You have to source for your security. You have to source for what you will eat and any other thing. You have to be If you have to go to hospital today, you must have all the money that the doctor wants in cash. There is no social schemes that will take care of all this. And so the people have become despaired. They don't know where to go. And the next place to go is, okay, if I elected you and these things are not provided, why don't I go to you for them? I think that is where we are.
Okay, Engineer Oduan, you have been in a political office before as a chairman of local government council. Kindly comment on this allegation that we have before us now, that you political office holders do not prioritize public interest when you are elected into office. How do you react to this?
Yes, I was not in the category of those kind of political office holders. But what Prof has said is absolutely very true. When I assumed office as chairman of council, I looked into my handover notes. I had prioritized what I was to do with the people. I wanted to provide power because I cannot give money to everybody. I wanted to provide water because not everybody will come to my house to come and fetch water. I had stiff opposition. What we are discussing in Benue today as stakeholders, I was absolutely a victim. I stood my ground. I remained very firm and uncompromising. I can quote names. If you go to Shongo local government today, there is a settlement called Wabra. It has electricity courtesy of my administration. It was not easy with me. There is a settlement called Amelango. It has electricity today. People are using that electricity to do wedding, to do barbing, to provide their social needs. But if I had shared money for them, not everybody will get the money. If you go to Shongo local government, the Keze Agundo-led administration built facilities, very gigantic health facilities. They were rotten. I came and injected life into them, rehabilitated them. Today, my name was one-man committee because I refused. I was supervisive. Money was being provided in every 3 months to local government chairmen, and it was called subsidy reinvestment money. And the governor at that time said the money was meant for projects. I would get pressure from councillors, pressure from stakeholders. I stood my grounds. I think in the history of Ushongo local government, nobody has faced that kind of opposition. But today, I have been very proud when I get home. Villages have basic amenities. And then, if you have the political will, you can take the Benue people to where they want. In Benue, you must force people to give them development. If you don't, but to some extent, what Prof has said here, if you don't have the mind, I've left office, it is 9 years. Nobody has shortlisted my name for any appointment. I've been mentioned at several quarters. People have opposed it. But one thing they have not taken away from me is my record in Ushongo local government. I can put my hand to my chest. I left in 2014. If there's any local government chairman who have provided electricity, let me know. If those ones who have completed a classroom block somewhere, let me know. You can come to the studio here and say what Oduan is saying is not true. But it because I had an agenda. First, in the history of Ushongo local government, you must be a big name. I was not a big name. I got to the corridors of power and I needed to protect. After that, my special advisor became Chairman Joseph Asawa. My special advisor on politics became senior legislative aide to a former member of the House of Representatives, Bob Ondunato Rutio. And my former special advisor, special assistant on politics, became the vice chairman of the local government. That is what you say is growth. And at any time you talk to them, they will tell you that this is what we did. Yes, there is pressure, but then pressure should not deviate us from the main agenda. So basically, you must have the first political will. Secondly, you must set a development agenda for your people. Even at that time, if they don't see. I know that Prof was here in 1979 and was a young person, but I think he was within an age where he knew what Apereku went through.
Oh, sure.
No governor have been insulted at Akaku. But there is no way you will write the history of Benue without mentioning him first. He laid a solid foundation that in the course of our political journey in life, his name has been written not in pencil, it is not in big, it is in gold. He is late, but there's nothing done here without mentioning him. So the issue of sometimes blaming even the electorate on the issue of corruption, I disagree totally. I can be held responsible for what I did in Ushongu for 2 years. If they bring pressure, just like a professor of law said it here, if you are doing the right thing, the people will also know. We are still in Benue. We know what the people are saying. If you are going to a campaign, you tell people you are going to provide this, provide that, and you will see you begin to reduce pressure. It is by the time you don't do the right thing, and people think that their money is being cornered, they will also join you in the cornering of the money. I was local government chairman. Those who will bring things to you will not be manhandled by EFCC, but you will be manhandled by EFCC if the money is not there. ICPC came visiting and other anti-graft agencies. And it will be those people who will go to the beer parlors first to say that, we heard that EFCC have taken away our chairman. So in order to prevent these things, you must do the right thing at the right time, at the right place. And I want to tell you, it is God that provides platforms for people. When it was time for me to be chairman of council, it was God that made it possible. I contested with 9 people.
Anyway, you have shared that with us. Let's come to you now, Prof.
Yeah.
Listening to Engineer Oduwem, to what extent do political office holders actually come into office prepared with a development agenda and even run the office transparently, devoid of corrupt tendencies? And we are talking about this not just from the point of view of stakeholders in quotes, even the masses, the common people, like you mentioned earlier, who bring their needs every day. To what extent?
Well, again, I must appreciate the question. He went to council with an agenda. Most don't. Most of our electorates are ill-prepared for the offices that they occupy. They are seeking power for the sake of power. They have no plans. And that is why when they come to office, when eventually they are elected under that kind of scenario and they get to office, it takes them so long to come up with anything for which they want to execute. Now that becomes a problem. Some just, let me diversionary give you this example. Some of them had sat where 2 people who wanted to be governors were discussing. I sat a little table away from them. And then a siren was passing by. Obviously, I think the then incumbent governor was going around. And one of them said, Chief, by this time next month, it's either you or me who will be in that kind of siren. Now, definitely, these are not people that are going with any agenda. They are going because they want to go there and feel and just also be part of the system so that they say they too pass this area and not that they want to have any impact on society. Therefore, it is good for anybody who is seeking political office for him to have an agenda, for him to understand the office that is going to. First, you must understand the office you are going to. If you don't understand, you can just pass through it without it passing through you. And so you need to get that thing. Once you understand that, how do I make it impactful on the society so that tomorrow they will remember me the way we are remembered through the state. And this is what he did. This is paramount. Unfortunately, most times this is not there. Now, on the part of the electorate, it is also our responsibility to hold these people and say, hold them accountable. That is what we are lacking. We are not holding people accountable. All we do is, the moment they are elected, they become our gods, and when we see them, well, the youth in the village will say, Namti Onkwa. They will just demand for half or something, not even the full thing. So this is the plight we're in. We have to stop all this. We have to call those those that are commissioners, those that are elected members, and even the governors, including the president. You promised this. Where is it? You promised this. This is what we're called. This is what is meant by accountability, and not necessarily going to look at the finances of the state. But if we can't hold the people accountable, then the people themselves become demigods. And then all we can see to do is worship them, which is what we have been doing now under CA. That's just worship. So the moment anybody gets to that point, that is where we are. And so might be two things. First, those that are office public holders, design an agenda. Go through it very well with 1, 2, 3 people that understand that field, that understand the office you're going through, so that by the time you go there, you hit the ground running. And then to the rest of us, is for us to keep on asking you, what have you been doing? It's more important to ask, what have you been doing, rather than give us this. There is this local saying that it is better to show someone how to catch a fish rather than giving him a fish. And finally, I will always say that we should ask and keep on asking, what is it that you are doing for us, or where is this thing that you promised to do for us?
Okay, Engineer Dwayne, I am back to you again. Now, let's look at it from the point of view of even family members, immediate family members. It is the allegation out there that when someone gets into a political office, the pressure even starts even at the family level. Your wife demands for cars to be changed. Your family members have all kinds of demands. How do you react to this in the light of mounting pressure on political office holders, and to what extent it may even influence corrupt tendencies among such office holders?
Yes, that's very true. But just like Prof have said here, if you set an agenda, and that is not part of an agenda, when you are elected into an office, there are personal emoluments. You can do anything with that, and nobody will question that. If you have to provide a car for your wife, it must be from your own personal emoluments. And then if you take pressure, you must tell members of your family that we have a family name to protect. Today.
But how many of such categories of political office holders are willing to do that, to even say this particular aspect of it you just brought forward?
Yes, let me tell you. Most of the people who have been elected into office now are elected based on political compensation. Those are areas of politics. And democratically, if we begin to hold people responsible, that you've promised us that if you become a chairman of local government, we will have electricity here. Where is it? Failure to do that, your people will ask questions. Your people, they will take actions. And other people will see and know that these people are becoming very serious. But once the electorates are playing around with their votes, asking for personal emoluments, those who have elected also know that, this is the line we want to toe. But I want to tell you, under any pressure, if you have an agenda and you have set it, you will continue to move. You know, even in your house, if you woke up today and you have the challenge of electricity, you have the challenge of water, you will prioritize.
Yeah.
There must be priority. What I was going around to campaign, I told the people of Ushungu local government that Mrs. Keze Agundu had provided very gigantic primary health care centers for you. These things have brought in. If I become chairman, I am going to rehabilitate. And I did. If I never did, they will hold me responsible. I said I was going to provide electricity in some other places. I've also provided. In some other places, my tenure was short. I could not do it. Those who mounted pressure immediately came to realize that Odun has an agenda. And I heard many of them said, this one, if you take it to the Honorable Chairman, he will not take it. The electorates know. It is when you deviate from the main agenda, they also deviate. I'll just give an example here. The current governor was going around to campaign. He said he was going to pay salary. He said many things. He was going to do this. At least he has been doing some. You understand? And people are beginning to, some people are criticizing. Some people are supporting. And it is May 29 is by the corner. In the next 2 months, 1 year is already gone. People will be called upon, even in your radio here, to give account of their stewardship. And I want to assure you that you will give some people invitation and they will only give you excuses because they have nothing to offer. People also know. Those who were elected 1 year office, some of them 1 year back, about some 10 months back, the people are becoming enlightened. People have won elections here in different political parties. That is to show that there's public enlightenment. And once the public becomes very enlightened and are holding the elected officers accountable on what they said, you were doing campaign, what did you tell us? Tell us where you are on this in the last 10 months. And then by May 29, everyone who was elected in 2023 must have spent 1 year out of the 4 year or 2 year or 3 year. And you will definitely have to tell the people. If you are found wanting, the people will definitely get around you. Something happened in Zone A. I am from there. Joseph Akagege became senator. He contested with Chief Gamade. 4 years later, Gamade became senator. And Governor Gabriel Suswam had wanted to go to the Senate. He got the nomination of his party. Gamade switched to another political party. He became senator for the second time. And when it was the third time, the same Suswam that Gamade defeated Gamade. I know that when Suswam was governor, our distinguished Senator Dende was a member of the House of Representatives. In the last election, he contested the same election and won. People are becoming more enlightened. So I want to tell you the issue of pressure on public office holders, sometimes I look at this, people who succumb to such pressures as people who did not have an agenda for the people. Because if I tell Prof that I'm going to buy a shirt for you, and when I get to where I want to buy a shirt, I bring a key for him. I've deviated from what we're discussing. Maybe the shirt is more expensive than the key. So he will ask for the balance. So I want to tell you that you must be focused, you must be committed, you must be uncompromising. Even when the people do not see that time, they will see it. We have a lot of things going on. Today, you have invited us to a private radio. It was only the government-owned radio in Benue. And there are more than 3, 4, 5, 6 private radios here. It was the Radio Benue, later Harvest FM. You have Ashi Waves. You have one in Konya. You have Agate Radio. You have Brothers FM. There are options. And so even in politics, you begin to drop people because they do not do that which you send them to do. People will begin to be very careful that our electorates are beginning to hold us responsible.
Okay, we'll go along. Dear listener, in case you just tuned in, you are listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio, 95.5 Star FM, Makudi. We are discussing public pressure on political office holders and corruption. And leading us in the discussion here in the studio is a professor of law and dean postgraduate school at the Benue State University, Makudi, Professor Veromo Dahule is with us here as our lead discussant. We also have the former chairman of Ushongo Local Government Council, Engineer TV Dwayne, who is also here with us in the studio. They are sharing their thoughts on the subject matter. And let's remind you, the program is streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube. Kindly search out Agate Radio and Television on Facebook and follow the live stream conversation. And you can also send us a text message on the line, which is already activated for text messages and WhatsApp chats to contribute. The line is 09126 That line is already open for messages and WhatsApp. Please remember to include your name and the location you are sending the message from if you are sending a contribution through text or WhatsApp. And at 10 o'clock, the line for calls will be activated. And when we draw closer to that time, we'll also remind you of that line as well, so you can call in to make your voice heard on the subject matter. But Prof, let me come back to you now. In terms of corruption generally, to what extent do you see political office holders being circumspect about getting involved in corrupt tendencies, especially with mounting public pressure on them?
Most of them are not even circumspect. Most of them do it gleefully. They get involved in corruption gleefully to satisfy whatever interest that they have. So it's not even a question that they're trying to hide it. You know, in Nigeria today, I think corruption has become the bane of our society. It is the in thing that we have to attack if we must make progress. And with corruption the way it is going, everything may be difficult for us to achieve. So we have already laid the foundation of pressure on political office holders. And once this pressure comes, they begin to see where they can dip their hands to enable them satisfy this. And this is manifested in several instances. So a contract that ordinarily ought to be awarded for, say, 1 million will now go for 3 million. So he takes part of it and pockets it so that he can satisfy whatever interest that is coming. Instead of going for high-quality drugs in a clinic, you now go and get low-quality or even expired drugs, and you come and keep just because you want to put in some money. And this goes to almost all the fabrics of the society. It becomes a real monster for us. So all the problems we're having in Nigeria today are hinged, well, if not all, at least most, are hinged on this issue of corruption. And most of this corruption comes from the public sector. Yes, the private sector also is deeply involved, but it's corruption from the public sector that is killing the society. So every day we hear of it. Every day we hear billions of naira. Now we don't even, a million is no longer attractive. Where maybe between you and me, it will be something that is attractive. But to those in the political office holders, they talk billions. And those that are higher up talk in trillions. So you hear of somebody stealing billions, stealing trillions, stealing what for? Except just for egoism. So that when I pass, they should know that somebody is there. So that when you go, and essentially at the end of the day, what is given back to the society is peanuts. Because when this group of people say they are even doing a humanitarian service and they go and drop 2 million. 2 million from 1 billion means what? You know, you do the arithmetic, I won't be involved. So the long and short of it is, the corruption is eating deep. Corruption is well entrenched in public service. You can hardly do anything in any public office without oiling the weeds that move the system. So, and all this is because, as noted earlier, people are trying to satisfy their personal egos, trying to satisfy people that are next to them, and so on. You are in public service today, maybe they elect you as a House of Assembly member, and then they see you with a Toyota Karina. Say, oh, Honorable, you shouldn't be riding this car by now. You belong to the, what's this one, this Jeep now?
Prado.
Prado Jeep. That's what you should. And so you begin to see how you will raise money to buy Prado. And buying Prado also has its own problems. The fuel is not cheap. The maintenance is not cheap. All this you need to. So from one thing of buying Prado, it takes you to the next thing of trying to maintain it and then trying to achieve other things. So by and large, the corruption in the public service is a really serious problem. And all this is accentuated by the fact that most of the demands are made by us. And because we make these demands, we now feel our conscience does not allow us to again go to the same person and say, where is the dividends of democracy that you promised us?
Engineer Oduan, this is also an allegation on you, political office holders. You have been there before. Can you react to some of these issues Prof has raised, especially with regards to how the public push you, political office holders, getting involved in corrupt tendencies, padding contracts, inflating figures, even other issues?
Yes, Prof, has come from the academia. He was hitting hard on the political system. That's very good because there are people who are supposed to shape the system. They are lecturing in the university to give us values. To some extent, it is true, but amidst all this, once you are coming to an election and the people have elected you, and you are accountable to the people that this is what we have to do, and they have also seen that you are doing that which you promise, pressure will sometimes reduce. But once you also buy into it, just like you said, you have your personal entitlements. They are okay for you. You don't get into things. You grow slow and steady. But once you begin to jump steps, you must also begin to jump into things. You see, once a governor is elected here, there are some offices that people are eyeing.
Yeah.
Not because
Very true.
they want to go there and do something. Very juicy parastatals. You see people going up and down, looking for advisor to the governor on local government. But every other person, the governor has many special advisors.
Looking for SUBEB.
Looking for very juicy offices like SUBEB, Board of Internal Revenue, BIPC. And once the governor made this appointment, the political system is very calm now. It was agitated. People will go, this one will go to this one, tell the governor to give me this, give me this. Basically, it is not because of their competence. I have worked in the local government. Ordinarily, a local government chairman by hierarchy is more than an advisor to the governor. But as far as you are chairman of local government, the advisor to the governor of local government is your boss. Because local government does not have autonomy. If you look at the headed paper, it is written Office of the Governor, Special Advisor to the Governor of Local Government. The governor has special advisor on investment, special advisor on this, special advisor on that. But you don't hear their names like that. People have already known that these places are juicy. And if we get there, there are things that we can get as our own personal things.
You will cut corners.
And then corners will also be cut. I have not been deeply involved in government over a while now. And therefore, I do not talk about anything that I don't have concrete information about. But ordinarily, when the governor assumed office and was making appointments, immediately these parastatals were occupied. Some of the people who expected these things and did not get have already changed party lines, have already changed agenda, because they were coming to campaign, and then they had an agenda that I want to be there. What is the what is it that is there that you want to be there by all means? So for some extent, what Prof is saying is right. But then, if the electorates are holding those they support to be everywhere accountable, because if you're an elected chairman, for 2 days you don't see anybody in your house, you begin to think something is wrong somewhere. Because by 5:30, people begin to give you calls. When I ended my tenure as chairman, I thought I never had a telephone again.
Your phone never rang.
Yes, for a very long time.
Like Ruben Abati
Even members of my family did not again call me.
Okay.
That's what happens in Benue and any other place to political office holders. And other people will be expecting that sooner or next you are down like them. So let me tell you, until we change our orientation about leadership, that is not all about our personal things, we will be heading somewhere. Some people who were very close allies of the governor are now criticizing him. Not because he has done anything wrong. It's because their own personal needs have not been met. Some of them who were opposing the governor or opposing the government during the election, the time of elections, have become very good friends because they have gotten what they want. And so until the people decide that the right thing be run at the right time and the right people should be fixed at the right places, we will not be doing justice to what we are discussing here. Corruption has eaten deep. Just like Prof said, as chairman of council, you have little to your hands. Within 2 weeks, if it is what belongs to you, you will have nothing in your hands because daily people will come, choke out everything. Even some people, if they quarrel with their wife yesterday night and some things were not done, they will say it is chairman. And you know that is a marital affair. Even if they don't eat in their house, it is the governor. Even if they don't see anything good, just like he said, I have a slogan that I know. Somebody in my local government said it, Chief Namtaf Shisha, said in T language, if you have a 4-year term, I want to remind you that we are in March. April is by the corner. By May 29, everybody that was elected has spent 1 year already. And it's just within a very short time. And on the 30th of May, those who were elected for a 4-year term will have 2 years, 11 months, and some days, not 3 years again. And look at what we did just some few months ago. So even if you, as an elected officer, is doing what you are doing now, not going back to your people, not looking at what you promised them, and so, when he said this thing, he pulled out of a meeting. And at a very short time, the person who had a tenure ended his term. So we need to be careful. Sometimes we push our elected officials into corruption because they want to satisfy us. Sometimes it is their own wish to be corrupt, and they begin to accuse us when we come to them. But then, if you do something for your people, if you give them a good hospital, you give them a good clinic, you give them electricity, and they are looking at it, they will feel you are reasonable. And I'm telling you, you can set the electorates against those who want you to be corrupt. Once you're doing the right thing, you don't need to be. Look at Prof here. He has been, you know what it means to be a dean of the Faculty of Law. From there to dean, postgraduate school. That means the people must have seen some elements of good things in him.
Anyway, for today, we are interrogating the political officers. Otherwise, if we had gone to the academics, I would
No,
want to
I want to
interrogate.
tell you, I'm just using that as an example.
Okay.
If you do the right
I
thing,
understand what you were saying. I
you
was
understand?
only saying that should we decide to beam spotlight on the academics, maybe the community may have certain things they want to say
To
about
say,
prof
yes.
that we may not know anyway.
Exactly.
What do you think?
So, what corruption in leadership is mostly propelled not by the followers. You can stand your ground. And then if you do the right thing, you will have your way.
I want to chip in a few.
Okay, please
chip
do.
in something before
Yes.
you go in. We'll go on. This issue of corruption should also be viewed from the prism of appointments. From the appointment, corruption starts. Most of the people, as you say, are looking for one position or the other. They are looking for those positions not because they have anything reasonable to offer, but they know that there is some money there that they will pick. Unfortunately, most of these appointments are done based on despotic needs. They are done because he is my brother, because we did politics together, because he comes from the same geopolitical zone with me, because he's whatever other reason you want to advance. And once these people manage to get to those type of positions, what they do, particularly as it relates to corruption, is what will baffle you. I was with a friend of mine shortly before Susan became governor, and we met somewhere in Abuja. And the guy told me that if they give him commissioner, I'm using the exact phrase, just use his hand and take the money.
Yes.
And I was out a few days later to hear that he was also named a commissioner within the system. What do you expect?
To John Denyale already.
From this type of people, you are not even talking of pressure from the electorate. You are talking of pressure from within what they wanted to achieve. And I believe there are many such people hanging around government. And that is why you ask someone, what is your profession? He proudly tells you, I'm a politician. Politics shouldn't be a profession. I don't understand it being a profession, except that whatever the people are looking for is not service. And so when we're looking at this issue of corruption, we should also look at the individual person himself. It does appear to me that we in Africa, and especially in Nigeria, we have some corrupt tendencies. And by the time you add these other demands of society on it, it only becomes the ingredients within which to facilitate the corruption.
And another issue Engineer Odue mentioned, which I would like you to also comment on, he talked about changing orientation about leadership. Now, this is orientation has to do with even those, the public. Because like you mentioned, if a commissioner who is yet to be appointed is already having prospects of getting to amass wealth, does this orientation has to do with just the public, but even in terms of the appointment itself?
To everywhere. We need orientation everywhere, including even in the churches, because even the church is not spared. Everybody now is trying to look for the fast money. Not everybody, majority. I keep on being too complete. The majority of Nigerians now are looking for the fast money. So the orientation we need is for those to be those who are seeking political office or those who are in political office. In fact, shortly after every election, there needs to be a kind of seminar or workshop to detoxicate their mind on the evils of corruption. And then we also need to educate the citizenry about first his rights of demanding for an account, and then for the fact that this right is seriously whittled down. If you go and demand for something from somebody, then you can no longer hold him accountable. It means now you have cola in your mouth, and that cola will prevent you from asking the right questions at the right time.
Having cola in the mouth. Maybe you want to
cannot
put
talk
it.
again. You will be forced to chew the cola.
Dear listener, let's thank you very much for staying tuned to Perspectives. We are discussing public pressure on political office holders and corruption. And leading us to the discussion, we have Professor Vero Montakure, Dean, Faculty of Law, Faculty of former Dean, Faculty of Law, and Dean, Postgraduate School, Benue State University, Professor of Law. He is leading us here, and a former chairman of Ushongo Local Government Council, Engineer Teve Oduan, is with us. Soon we shall be opening the line for you to phone in and make a contribution on the program. The line through which you can phone is 081433 Once you connect with us, tell us your name and where you are calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. Keep it very brief to enable others also join and make their voices known. And please, we like to appeal that be civil in your engagement. Don't use uncomplimentary language. Stay on the issues we are focusing on. The line for text messages is 09126 999 404. 09126 999 404. That line is already activated as well. Meanwhile, the program is also streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube. Kindly search out Agate Radio and Television on Facebook and follow the live stream conversation. You may drop your comments on that link as well. And if they are related to the subject matter we are focusing on, definitely we'll take it as your contribution. Let's start taking some calls already waiting on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning to you. Welcome to the program.
With your audience in the studio there.
Thank you.
I'm Daniel from Yandev Boko.
Daniel who?
Daniel.
Okay, Daniel from Yandev in Boko. How is Yandev this morning?
Yandev is cool.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Daniel. Go ahead now.
Yeah, thank you. We have talked about corruption before, I think, in this program. And I did, one time I featured in there, I responded to some of these issues. That corruption starts right from the home. Say, for instance, you have a child who is in school. You are not giving the child any phone, and the child comes home with a phone of more than 20,000 naira. You don't ask questions. That's why you are encouraging the corruption. Starts from your house. Now, this issue of people being pressured by the masses, I don't want to believe that. I have a mindset to do something. And as soon as I get there, you cannot force me to do anything because I will tell you, my people know me, my community knows me that I'm a very hard person. That's my decision. I'm going there, nobody will come and say this and that. If I have something to do for you, definitely I'm going to do it because I know it's going to be to your own benefit. But the issue of saying pressuring me, no. People succumb to that because of their selfish reasons. So many people go into politics because they don't want to serve. They are going there to steal. But I don't blame them. I blame the government for that. The government don't check the people they have appointed. As a minister, as a commissioner of work, you are in charge of road construction and building and whatever. Does the governor come out to check what you are doing? If the government is checking himself, I think you will be on your toes. Now, secondly, as a commissioner, your office is giving 100 million for a year for the project in the year, and you spend maybe 70 million. Where is the balance of that 30 million? The 30 million balance is supposed to be paid to the government coffers. But it doesn't happen. Government are the one encouraging this thing. If at the end of the year you say, okay, balance your account, you have spent 70 million out of the 100 million. Instead of paying back the 30 million remaining, the commissioner takes that. Say it to the people or go alone, himself alone. So, how can you now, what do you do to that kind of person? Because you, who is supposed to be in charge, you are encouraging this, you don't ask questions as a leader. So these are the things.
All right.
You understand?
Yes.
And so, even at the federal level, the same thing happens. They don't give accounts. They don't give balance of their stewardship. So this thing is going on and on and on and on, and people are tolerating it. Then, I want to say lastly that if our elected representatives, they are not doing what they are supposed to do, we recall them. Because we are the one that voted them in. There's no borehole in Yandev here. There's no good hospital in Yandev here. There's no other amenities make the people comfortable in the So at the end of the day, before any of them will call you, or at the end of your tenure, you will no longer go there.
All right.
I have so many examples to give, but I will not go into that now.
Thank
so
you.
that is the problem.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your opinion. For Daniel, people are not pressured into corruption, but it is just their orientation. So thank you for your opinion, Daniel. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Vincent Ako. I'm calling from Wadata.
Thank you for joining us, Vincent. Welcome.
All right. My regard to the professor and the engineer in the studio.
Thank you.
Okay. You see, the political office holder.
Hello, Vincent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're with you, Vincent.
Yeah, the political office holders are supposed to be the servant of the people. But on the contrary, the public that elected them into office are now the servants, all because of corruption. I want to say that we should stop begging them for peanuts and hold them responsible for what they promised to do. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Daniel, for your contribution. We should stop begging political office holders for peanuts, but hold them accountable for what they're elected to do. That's Daniel. Vincent.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to the program.
Fine, sir. Sir, my name is Tesu Enes, calling from Benue State,
Okay,
from
Teso.
Makodi.
Okay, Makodi. Which part of Makodi, Teso, Ernest?
Ostoma, opposite Radio Benue.
Okay, thank you, Teso. Please go ahead.
So I'm having some challenges in my village, so I want you people to help me about plan issue.
Oh, okay, Teso, thank you very much. For today, that is not what we are discussing on the program. We hope that you explore. You can come to our station. Let's discuss that. All right.
Yes, sir. And I want governor to hear about this.
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, Teso. We appreciate your issue, but we entertain it outside of this program. If you will walk to our station, we are located at New GRA number 5 HMB Eco Street, New GRA in Makodi. So you may kindly walk to our station, or our line for WhatsApp is available. The line is 09126999404. You can send us a WhatsApp message on that line. We'll look at the issue you are having and how you want us to help you on it. If it is something we can engage with, definitely we will help out this. So thank you very much for calling us all the same. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. This is our first female call on the program. I will celebrate you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for celebrating me. This is Francisca Nyashima calling behind Civil Service Commission.
Okay, thank you, Francisca Nyashima, for joining us.
Yeah. This corruption in politics, I agree with the first caller. Corruption starts at school, and it's a thing of mindset. When you are planning that when they are going to vote you in power, and for you is to go there and cheer, will you cheer forever?
No.
Aha. So I think that people should stop thinking that they are here to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Francisca?
Yes.
Yes, we're with you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. One day you will take
Oh, Francisca is
and
quite.
beg them.
Your line is breaking. Can you change your position a bit so we hear you better?
I've changed.
Okay,
Yeah.
we are listening.
Can you hear
to
me now?
Very
Yes.
well. So for me, I don't that people them to prepare their minds to be corrupt. So that is my take. I agree with the first caller. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Okay, thank you very
And
much.
help me to greet the guests in the house.
Thank you.
very
They
much.
can hear you too. Thank you, Francisca. Francisca is sharing the same opinion with the earlier call by Daniel Eje, that people indulge in corruption, not necessarily they are pressured, but because of their mindset. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Emeka Anyos from North Bank, Makodi, Benue State.
Welcome, Mr. Emeka Nyogo.
All these issues, pressures, and every other thing that the political appointees and the elected members would complain about, is not like that. I think the best thing that
Hello, Mr. Emeka Nyogo, are you there? Hello? Mr. Emeka Nyogo, so sorry. You're on, but we can't hear you. So we have to disconnect, and maybe you can try to call back. The line is still open. 08143359292. Okay, Engineer Oduen, you have listened to some of the callers so far, and the take is that the orientation, the tendency of political office holders to go there with a mindset of being corrupt is often there. How do you react to this?
Yes, partially, that's very true. Because if you are the people elect you, they have confidence in you. They know you can represent them well. They know what you told them, and if you do the right thing, I don't think the people will mount so much pressure on you. I was discussing here. Once you deviate from the main agenda, people will begin to think you're also cornering things. So as far as they also suffered to elect you, they will also ask for their own private things. So to some extent, I've agreed that 70% of what is corruption is the mindset of those who have been elected to office, those who have been appointed to offices. Because today, the buck stops at your table. And if anybody brings anything that you feel is not to the interest of the people, you can simply say no. The person may feel bad, but once you do the right thing, people are subject to reviewing their decisions, and they begin to assess you differently. I know I always refer to the Dean because when Aperek was governor, he was more grown than myself.
Oh, sure.
The man was fully insulted. I read in newspapers. But today, the biggest name is that he's the architect of modern Benue. Everything that the state is being built on, he was the person who laid the foundation. If you don't get there today, you may get there tomorrow. So what the people are saying is right. The electorate may push you, but if you don't do it that way, they will not have anything to do. They can only wait for your tenure to be over. So I have agreed with the first caller, and I've aligned with the lady who said he has totally agreed with our first caller.
Prof, do you share a contrary opinion?
I'm just going to be a little more sociological about that, the issue.
Yes.
But you see, when he was talking about Aperako, it reminds me, of course, I was fully grown. And in those days, even when you were drinking more, they say you were drinking the urine of Aperako. It was that bad. But now we shop for the same money.
Yes, people are looking for it in Macaulay without
we shop for it now to drink. Anyway, on a more serious note,
yes,
I think corruption goes beyond the mind. Yes, it's also a governmental problem, as the first speaker has stated, because what I have noticed persistently is that people that dip their hands into government coffers are never prosecuted in law and are never convicted. So that's taking this discussion to my line now. So it gives room for other people to also try. Otherwise, it is not only in Nigeria that politicians are pressured. Elsewhere in the world, politicians are also pressured. And every electorate that votes somebody must have something that he thinks should be done to him in person, as well as through the community. But in other climes, when you dip your hand, when you take money that does not belong to you, you are prosecuted. There is this story of, I've forgotten the man's name in U.S. He was that he was not supposed to spend because his wife was sick. He took it that day from the government and paid the hospital, returned it the next day, but prosecuted. In claims where that is what let the whole state budget to you. So all political appointees, they become head of those agencies. They can take out anything they want. Sadly, the civil servants who are there will even tell you, this is how we do for you to get this money. Because a pinch of it will go back to them. the issue of crumbs will go back to them. So for us to begin to fight corruption seriously, and prosecution, we should prosecute all those who are reasonably suspected of having taken some money, and then once those people are prosecuted and possibly convicted, then they'll be made scapegoat for others to see. And I think that is when we begin to stem corruption and begin to stem this supposed pressure on political office holders.
Okay, prosecution, very key. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nathaniel.
Morning to you.
Speaking with Daniel Turner from Yagin here, Makodi.
Okay, Daniel, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. You see, corruption is.
Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
Yes, we are on
I
with you.
said corruption is everywhere. There are some politicians. In fact, if you see them, you would think that they're not politicians because they would like to do what people send them to there to do. But coming on. Hello.
Daniel, we're with you. Please go on.
We're focusing on politicians only in our homes. Let's do that too, because sometimes, as some people are saying, even sometimes, I may not be a politician. They may be, I may be you leader to one of the political parties. So if a politician comes here, maybe gives maybe a bag of salt or some different rice to share, how do you share it? It necessarily begin at home. So if you're talking of politicians, so some people that are not politicians, some people are politicians that maybe sometimes they have may come and get radio. They cannot have the chance to see all of it, but maybe can give Nathaniel that please take this thing, go and say it. So you think that maybe it's the man did not do his duty. But sometimes it's the followers, also that is the PA. The answer is that please and please, if you are in a position, try people that you appoint them to follow you. Because it's those people that will make your administration will be good. Lastly, there is a former chairman still. I know during his tenure as chairmanship, he will be successful. But still, people will say that, but if you ask him, he was trying to do it, but so sometimes maybe if his followers did not do what he wants. Any political position that God has blessed you to be. So you must not be a politician, but any position that you are.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day too, Daniel. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, Engineer Oduan, you listened to Daniel, where he mentioned that sometimes even those you appoint, like when Prof shared the example of a commissioner who, before being appointed, was saying he will go and join Yari. Okay, but before you react to that, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you.
My name is Yosunde Woshi. I'm calling from Asukunya, a man from Yande Boko South.
Yosunde Woshi, thank you very much, a man from Yande, from Asukunya.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Please go ahead, Yosunde.
Okay, thank you. Corruption, it is all over the Nigeria now because it is what the grassroots of Nigeria are practicing now. Even though to villages, corruption is known fully. Because sometimes we used to emphasize on, can I say, party people, why it is not correct. Because corruption is a title, that is the definition of Nigeria entirely. Because everybody in Nigeria now is a corrupted somebody.
It's not true.
If I take example now, last week I attended. Yes.
Don't you think you are being too general? Those are allegations that are subject to be proven. Could you put it better than the way you, because if you are defining the entire Nigeria, Nigeria is our country, and we need to be cautious with the words we say about our country. Don't you think so?
Yes, no matter how it is, I'm coming back to emphasize on something because
Okay.
to my own pleasant governor now, I'm seeing the truth work. Maybe some people will not see it. I am seeing what he's doing. Sometimes he used to supervise work himself. That is means to show that he don't want corruption in his own state. But no matter how he is trying to protect that corruption in Benue State, there is some people that they are, especially chairmen of the party and the locality agents, they are corrupt because when they give something for them to share, all of them used to take a lion's share of it because they are the one to. If we take example on road now, like in Benue State here, there is some areas, especially in St. Logo local government. Go there on passing well. Just carry a machine bike, go there if you are a new face. And if they hold you, you must bring a particular of your machine from A to Z, even the tire. But you must pay them something. So I believe that corruption, there is a way, I think that government will find a way for law to survive for that corruption. And to me, I'm not going to involve in that corruption. That is why that particular time they were saying that we should fill a form for 20,000 something.
You said it.
I say no, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for your thoughts all the same. We appreciate it. Including Prof, doing all of us. Hello, good morning. Oh, quite unfortunate the net is not friendly. And in any case, listening to the concept, like I was requesting you to speak on what Daniel mentioned before we went on that call. Okay, we have call still waiting on. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay, the allegation that sometimes even those that are appointed are not given any thorough screening, like the example Prof gave us here of a commissioner who had, before being appointed, muted his intention of getting there and amassing the money. Don't you think this is a fundamental problem even within the circles of political office holders?
Yeah. First, most of the people that have been appointed in government are appointed on recommendations. And those who recommend them have their motives. It's not every appointment that the governor makes that he appoints the people. So there are some people the governor have not met in his life. They are his appointees, courtesy of his friends and political associates. And as far as I'm concerned, you cannot dip your hand into somebody's mind. But then, if you give somebody an appointment and you see that the person is not performing, the person has dipped hand where he's not supposed to, and you begin to sack one or two people, others who have come with such intentions will begin to slow down. In a situation whereby somebody is found wanting, but because of political reasons, because of recommendations from high-profile people, the person is still kept there. It will begin to lower government performance. If the governor appoints commissioners and special advisors, after 1 year, everybody will be called upon to give his stewardship. Look at what have you done. If you are an advisor on investment, what have you done in investment? What has government injected into investment? So most of the times, it is performance evaluation that we're talking about here. If we evaluate people who you have appointed into offices and they are found wanting, there should be no fear in removing them from such positions and then injecting new blood. There are some people who are eager to serve, but do not have the opportunity to get to those that service is being given. There are some people that today, if you appoint them commissioners, they will bring innovations and then even look outside the box. I can put my hand to my chest. Dr. Atota Gigi of the Benue State University came in as a commissioner for rural development. And online, he was short-lived. There was speedy development in terms of the provision of electricity. When he died, the then governor, Gabriel Suswam, had it very tough. And he was always referring to such things. There are people who are eager to serve. Very unfortunately, they do not have access to government. They do not have access to where such appointments are being made. So sometimes, when you are talking about evaluation, sometimes you may evaluate Prof. When he was looking for Dean of Faculty of Law. His evaluation at that time would be different. And then when he was Dean, maybe his evaluation will also be different. So the whole, this is so guided by principles. So the issue of evaluation is only when you are there that you've been evaluated and that it will be very correct. If somebody is found wanting, booting out is not a crime. Do it immediately. And then the next person who will come will know that, oh, the governor had booted this person out because he did not perform, I must perform. And then government must also do its own necessary tools for people to work. And once you are given tools and you cannot work, that means if anything is done, you will not be able to do anything. So by my own, continuous evaluation of government functionaries and continuous checks and balances of how they are using government funds. Just as Prof said, somebody is found wanting, an allegation will be made, security agencies will just look at it, and then after some time, it dies down. But if one person is prosecuted and is found wanting and maybe sent to the other side of the story, people will begin to be careful. So I think proper evaluation when people are elected into leadership is very important.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Nat.
Morning to you. Welcome to the program. Hello.
Manoni.
Yes, we're with you. Good morning. Hello. Hello. Oh, it's really unfortunate. This challenge of network is persistent. But, Prof,
Yes.
before we engage with more people, earlier on we talked about prosecution, even within government, with regards to appointment. Because if we talk about public pressure on political office holders, how about even the government within? When some appointees, when there are allegations against them of corruption, how does the government that keeps them within an administration treat such issues as regards to spotlighting them, the issues of corruption and getting them properly prosecuted as a professor of law?
Well, first and foremost, government's reaction to some of its appointees' corruption or corrupt tendencies is always to treat them with levity. I owe no apologies for the statement. Because someone is said to have committed an offense, or rather said to have committed, to have involved in some corrupt deeds. The first thing to do when government was government is to put the man, I think the word they used to put there is interdiction. You leave the office so that this thing will be properly investigated. Now, when when allegations are levied against anybody, the person remains there and keep on defending himself as to what they are saying, and in the process, if need be, correcting some of the records which will be found to have been done. But that is not all. To show how most of us are also involved in corruption, his community will come. They will come to radio station, paid advertorial in newspapers, saying that their son is innocent. So they too will be piling pressure.
Why should it only be a son? Daughters are also
Well,
involved.
daughters too, sorry, please.
They will pass a vote of confidence.
They will pass a vote of confidence. Recently, you saw what happened when the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs was removed. The people from Cross River also? They took up pages, is it only their daughter that was involved in this thing? And I can assure you, since she left and they said there is going to be an investigation, that is the end of the matter. Of course, as Nigerians, our memories are very short. So we have passed on from that one. Nobody talks about it anymore. And I fear it may never come back. So when the report comes, government will dust it, and we keep it there and it will gather dust. So this gives impetus to other people to say, okay, let me also try, because if anything, nothing will happen. So government, just as the first caller indicated, government cannot absolve itself from this fight of corruption. And when it comes to its own appointees, it is even worse. So government should begin to act decisively. Once anybody, it doesn't have to be true. Once you come to the conclusion that it's not true, you bring back the person. But for that time that the allegation is levied, so once it looks like there is merit in it, let the person step off. That is the only way we can begin to show the community and the world at large that we are serious with this war on corruption. Until we do that, we are yet to start. So this is the crux of the problem. So let government officials sit up. Unfortunately, however, even when you invite in the police or the anti-graft agencies, they too are not immune from corruption. So it becomes a vicious cycle.
Wow, this is really troubling. If the anti-graft agencies too are not spared based on your allegation,
No,
then
they're
it
not.
calls for concern. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are with you. Please move away
Yeah.
from your radio set or turn down the volume so we hear you better.
Oh, I have done that.
Good, good. Now let
Can you
us.
hear me now?
Yes, go on. Let's know your name and where you are reaching us from.
Oh, my name is Ijo Talishma Emmanuel. I'm calling from Makodi.
What did you say? Tavishma Emmanuel, right?
Yes,
Okay. Makudi, which part of Makudi Tavishma?
Western Quarter.
Okay, thank you. Tavishma, go ahead.
Thank you very much. You see, my own contribution on this issue is this. Guys, the reason why corruption will not end is one, once somebody is elected, the person will be looking at taking his or her children outside this country. Even the schools in this our country will not be good for their children to attend. And secondly, their expenditures will be more than their income. That's what will make them to be dipping their hands in the public funds to make themselves and their children very rich. So the corruption will not end in this country. Thank you. That's my own contribution.
Tavishma Emmanuel, thank you for your contribution.
Corruption
This is
will end.
it will end. That's our prayer. Because leaders will always say, let's kill it before it will kill Nigeria. It's part of the public pressure he is talking about, because if once you are elected or you hold a political appointment and you have to change the schools of your children, it's part of mounting pressure. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nat, Noah again, and all your.
Oh, no, I don't. Thank you for joining us. Where are you
Calling
reach?
from North Bank.
Okay, thank you, Noah.
Cody.
All right, thank you, Noah.
It is clear Nigerians are aware that corruption in the country is not only endemic, but is entirely systemic. Virtually every fabric of the country is polluted and punctured by corruption, right from the top to bottom. It becomes clear that the only way we, the nation, can move forward is from the presidency down to the executives of the state and all of us, the general populace. I think the president of this country should tell us any amount sent to the governor for the state, including his so-called security votes. Tell us the amount and what it's meant for. Now, Prof, has said, and the engineer has said that we should hold our people accountable. How can I tell you, Mr. Nat, where is the 10,000 naira that was given to you for us when I don't know you were giving 10,000? We don't know how much our governors are giving to run the affairs of the state. So how can we hold them accountable? It is when you know how much that somebody has as your leader that is supposed to be shared or used for any project for you and the rest of the people that you can say, where is this amount of money that you have for us? Now, we want to come back right to every home, like our scholars have said. If you give a small child 500 naira to get a can malt for you, for instance, 400, 450, depending on where and how you get it, automatically the young child knows that the 50 naira or 100 naira balance is automatically his own. He won't even think of giving you. Find out, check up and see. You'll discover that. Now, it's on our leaders, right from the top there, they then tell us how much they are giving for this and for that, so that we will be able to say, well, if I know how much my governor is giving to run an affair in terms of health, for instance, I can sue him and say, governor didn't spend this money. If he did, let him come and tell us. I personally can do that. So please, let's know where to get these things right. Nigerians are aware Nigeria is corrupt, even right from the home. But the only way forward is transparency and accountability. And it's not possible until we are all aware how much we have that belongs to us.
Okay.
Thank you, and God bless again.
Thank you very much, Noedo. Thank you for your contribution. Engineer Odoen. Okay, Prof.
I just thought I should react to what he has said.
Very well. Particularly, let's look at the transparency aspect of it, which you talked about. Please go ahead, Prof.
At the end of every federation account, the figures that every state takes are public documents. Right now, if you Google online, you should be able to know how much the state took for last month. But the accountability I was talking about here it's not exactly about money. It's one thing taking money. It's another thing for the person to utilize the money effectively. The accountability I was saying is simple. You are supposed to do certain things. And of course, it's also the responsibility of every state governor to look for money, internally generated, and of course, including the federation account. So if we tell you about the federation account, what about the locally generated revenue? So all we know is that the governor promised 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in his campaign, in his manifesto. Are those things being done? Even if he didn't promise them, there are other things that logically follow. For example, everybody knows there is a responsibility of every state government to provide security. Is security being provided? It is the responsibility of government to give us water. Is water being provided? These are angles we can hold the government accountable for without necessarily going to look at financial statements from Abuja of what has been done and so on and so forth. Finally, you can challenge the governor on these issues, of course, without those details. But I was going to say, he mentioned the issue of going to sue the governor. Of course, if it is a governor, you can't sue him. He has immunity under the Constitution. So until he leaves that office, no matter how you think you have a case against him, sadly, that will have to wait. So, but basically, the accountability we're talking does not, it does involve money, but not necessarily.
Okay. Engineer Odoen, I was going to request you to speak on to what extent transparency is exhibited by those in public office, because like Noedo mentioned, the issue sometimes even beginning with generation of internally generated revenue, sometimes it becomes a subject that is of guesswork or controversy. People are asking, to what extent do public political officers actually demonstrate this transparency with regards to resources available to them?
Absolutely. The transparency issue has always been a question here. There is what is called sabotage. You mentioned revenue. You don't go to generate, those who generate sometimes sabotage part of it. and you are not on ground. Though there have been improvements on the issue of revenue, sometimes collection is done by POS. Others are not so educated to a level of that facility. Secondly, transparency, just like they said, is also a mindset. When you are in government and you want your people to know what you are doing, you can always tell them that this is what has come in, this is what we have expended, this is what is left. If you are doing it regular, like in the local government, the honorable chairman of local government is supposed to send to the legislature income and expenditure accounts for every month. This social month we have received social amount of money. This has gone for salary. This has gone for interest. This has gone for projects. For them to scrutinize. Where they have questions, they will ask. By many government agencies and parastatals, the buck stops at the table of those who are heading such organizations. So to some extent, what the public is saying is right. And therefore, we now call on government to fasten up and tighten up belts and also set a machinery of accountability. Definitely, for the state governors, mostly you find them addressing press conferences. They may not mention figures, but they say, the developmental projects that are going on. I know that once it is May 29, and the governor will be 1 year in office, he will address the press conference, avail the public with the funds that he has gotten, what has been spent, and what has been left. It is our money. It is the money that belongs to the people. And then, if they are asking questions about it, they have to be accountable. We will know whether the monies have been appropriated. There have been approvals on this by the approving authorities. I think to some extent, not every apparatus of government is very efficient on that. And so the public is accusing them, and I think it is time for us to, those who are within the corridors of power, to rise up to the occasion and begin to give account of what is involved, so that the general public will stop being suspicious. Sometimes things are done rightly, but for the fact that informations are not availed to the general public, people begin to
speculate.
Speculate and feel suspicious. At the local government level, somebody will just wake up and say, the chairman, and maybe the chairman himself will not know anything about that. And they begin to drag in this issue of Facebook and telephones. It was a very good thing that was brought to us. But you understand what the social media has cost on many things. People fabricate stories. And then some other stories are also true. Just like the prof said here, the government has had laxity on prosecuting those who have been suspected to have taken away government funds. So if a machinery is set in place on all those things, people will begin to be careful. You know that somebody had taken money forcefully from the government and he was prosecuted. And then you'll be thinking that if you do so, you will also follow the same line. Then that is where care has to start setting in. So I think on the side of government, they should employ checks and balances.
Okay. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. Quite unfortunate. Let's take some messages we have coming in before we come back. Oh, this call's coming in repeatedly. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Nathaniel.
Morning to you.
Thank you, sir. This is Frank from... Hello?
We are with you. Frank who? And from
Yeah,
where?
I said this is Frank on the fact from Buruku local government.
Okay, Frank on the far from Buruku.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Frank, for joining us.
I wish you so much.
How is Buruku this morning?
We thank God.
Okay. Which part of Buruku in particular? Hello, Frank?
In Buruku town.
Okay. Now go ahead,
Yeah.
Frank.
Yes, I have listened to your program and I want to appreciate it so much.
Thank
You
you,
see,
Frank.
me, I have never been to any part of the world apart from, as a Nigerian, I've never been to other parts of the world.
but I want to believe that there is so much corruption in Nigeria. And then you see, the reason why we have corruption is on the increase in Nigeria is due to lack of accountability and transparency. I think one of the guests in the house made mention of we as citizens should always be holding our leaders accountable. And then at the same time, I heard one of the callers say something. How can we hold our leaders accountable when they are not transparent to us, the citizens? Let's, for instance, as we speak, me, I'm from Benue State. I think this is the first time we have a governor on seat that for good 9 months, the governor has worked without disclosing what he has gotten from Federal Allocation Committee, what he has gotten as internally generated revenue to his citizens. This is the first time we have a governor that worked for 9 months without disclosing the total wage bill of the state civil service to his people. Then how can I hold such a person accountable? So the fact is, if corruption must be fought in Nigeria, our leaders themselves have a very big role to play. They must be accountable for us so that together we can fight corruption in Nigeria. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Frank Anfa, for your contribution. In any case, like we mentioned earlier, it's about public office holders, political office holders in general, and not just governor. Even the National Assembly members are not insulated. But we'll come to that aspect shortly. Even the presidency and all ministers are all involved in some of the issues we are discussing. Let's take some messages before we come back. This one says, good morning to you and the guests. Nigeria has been grappling with pervasive problem of corruption for a considerable period, and its consequences have had far-reaching effects on its development, governance, and society. The term corruption encompasses the misuse of power or influence for personal or collective advantage with far-reaching consequences for various sectors such as the economy, politics, public administration, judiciary, and the private sector. Corruption is a pervasive issue that weakens the foundations of the rule of law and erodes the trust that the public places in their institutions. Its detrimental effect goes beyond mere financial implications, as it obstructs the delivery of essential services and contributes to setbacks in development. Moreover, corruption exacerbates economic inequalities, widening the gaps between the rich and the poor, men and women, and various social segments in the country. Furthermore, it hinders economic growth, limits potential investment opportunities, and disrupts the efficient allocation of resources. To effectively address corruption, it is essential to delve into the intricate web of societal norms that perpetuate and enables unethical behavior. In the fight against corruption, it is crucial to focus on transforming behaviors and fostering a culture of integrity and accountability. This requires active participation from individuals across different sectors. This is from Ephraim Cole in Welfare Quarters, Makudi. Thank you, Ephraim, for your elaborate definitions and all the issues about corruption. Another one here says, good morning, sir. Sadly enough, the pressure we heap on our elected officials made them to abandon their legally assigned duties, and corruption sets in. And that is why senators and reps members would abandon the business of lawmaking and oversight functions and begin to purchase employment slots fraudulently for their crownings. And they celebrate such employments as achievements, even as they are not the ministers, departments, or government agencies. A mix up there, some, I think so. Pressure on public office holders, which often sometimes they like it, and invited them for vested interest. The officials should concentrate on improving the quality of lives of people with government funds and make living meaningful. Let them avoid unnecessary interference. Jerry Uhange from Makudi. Okay, Jerry, thank you for your message. Which part of Makudi you did not specify, but all the same, we appreciate you. Another one here says, Teso Veo from Welfare Quarters, he says anyone coming for a public office should declare his assets and repeat them while leaving it, including his bank accounts, in order to checkmate corruption. Okay, thank you, Teso, for your thoughts. Another one here says, for corruption to end or minimize in our country, there should be capital punishment to whoever is involved in corruption. Orokpo Jesse Ijegu, B local government area of Benue State. Thank you, Orokpo, for your message. Another one here says, good morning, everyone. I'm Jericho Maxwell from High Level. If you are not a politician and a politician who is in office appoints you, does that mean you now become a politician? Okay, we'll respond to your question. Another one here says, good morning, I get radio. I want to advise political office holders to shun people who approach them with their personal needs at the expense of the public. Let them focus on the social contract they signed with the public to avoid corruption. They should also avoid internal political skirmishes, as the electorates are the ones to bear the consequences. Jerry Banongon from Bomta in Constitutional Local Government Area. Thank you, Jerry. These are some of just a few messages. Some messages, more are there, but let's take just those ones because our time is fast ticking away. But let's respond to the question of Jericho Maxwell, who is asking, if you are not a politician and you are appointed by a politician who is in office, does that mean you become a politician, Engineer Oduan? This is within
yeah.
you to speak
there
about
are
briefly.
other very many aspects of governance or leadership. Others requires technocrats. You cannot do it as a politician. You need to employ professionals. They bring a professional expertise. Where we are sitting here is a radio station. And you people have been brought in here and you are rendering services. That's why we are here. I want to tell you that we can only be professionals in politics, but not professional politicians. If today the people of Gwe elect Professor Tahule into the National Assembly, he will serve and go back to the university.
Somebody is there.
Yes, that's what I said. That's just an example.
At a certain point, I wanted it. They said no.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is just it. And therefore, he is rendering his services at the university. And then, even if he had gone to the National Assembly and returned, he would still go back to the classes. People have done it that way. And so, employing you within a political system does not make you a politician. It makes you a service provider. And so, I don't think it's not everybody that works within the political circle that is a politician.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarification, Jericho. I hope you have listened to it. Okay, Prof, let's come back to you now. The issue punishing corruption, because if there's public pressure on political office holders and they get involved in it, and remember, like we mentioned, this issue of political office holders starts even from the federal, the presidency, the ministers, the senators, House of Representatives, let's begin from the National Assembly. To what extent do you see then being open and transparent to the people, representing them effectively? And when they are not meeting their expectations, what do you expect these citizens to do with regards to stemming them in the area of corruption?
Thank you. The National Assembly basically has three functions. The first one is lawmaking, which is most known. The second one is oversight. And the third one is representation. That is because they represent a set of people. So the question you ask hinges on representation. How far are they doing their job? The national members of the National Assembly, and in fact any parliament for that matter, are supposed to periodically come home to the electorate and then give what is called a briefing, constitutional briefing of what they have seen, what is going on, and what their contributions are. Sometimes this briefing, we have to elicit from the public matters that are pending or some pending bills, which they can go back and argue on. Unfortunately, most of our lawmakers are not doing that. They are not coming back to us. They are on their own. If anything, we hear from them what decisions they have taken. It all dovetails back to the issue that I raised in the beginning, that they become gods of their own, and we are just their subjects that have to listen to them to whatever they will do. But in an ideal setup, they should come back to us, and we should ask them question: why did you pass this law? Why did you take up this action? Why didn't you respond to this when it occurred to us? Why couldn't we hear from you? These are the kind of things. So the National Assembly and indeed the State Assembly, each of them should come home at least once every quarter and take from the people a feedback. The Assembly is a soul of democracy. It is a soul, and that is why they come under Section 4 before any other arm of government, because they are the pulse of the people. They should measure the gauge of what is happening to anybody, and from there, go back to do some laws that are more positive. So I think they should come back more frequently for this.
Okay, I will not give you another slot. So give your parting words, and there have been calls for capital punishment to be placed on corruption. Do you support this cause, Prof? Your parting words.
I'm not a fan of capital punishment. Punishment should be swift and just enough to deal with the issue at hand. What we're having in Nigeria is nobody is punished at all. Once it begins, even if it is not capital punishment, I'm sure it will be enough to stem the malady.
Engineer Oduwen.
Yes.
I will request you to give your parting words just in 60 seconds.
Yes. Basically, government should be able to some extent punish, to some extent remove those who have been involved in corruption. If these two things are being placed, people will definitely know that something. But in a situation whereby people go away with public funds and nothing is being done, the next person will not be careful. So I call on the government to look into the issue of disciplinary actions against those who are corrupt in the system.
Okay, thank you very much for your thoughts. This is where we must have to conclude today, as time has permitted us to go. I must appreciate very sincerely our discussants on the program. We focus today on public pressure on political office holders and corruption, and those who led us in the discussion. I'd like to appreciate the professor of law and dean postgraduate school at the Benue State University, Makurdi, Professor Verumo Tahule. Thank you very much, Prof, for your time with us on Perspectives.
Thank you so much.
We also appreciate a former chairman of Ushongo Local Government Council, Engineer TV Oduwen. Thank you very much, Engineer Oduwen, former chairman, for sharing your time with us.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to Agate Radio.
I hope when next we extend the invitation to both of you, you'll be willing to also join us to share thoughts with us on subsequent editions on other issues that we may need you. Thank you very much. Dear listener, we appreciate your listenership. We couldn't take all your calls for you to contribute because the time was really not enough for us. 2 hours when you have the right guest doesn't look like enough at all. We appreciate your listenership to this program and all programs. Thank you very much for always being there. Your contributions through phone calls and text messages made it worth the while. We are grateful to you. Perspectives, the voice you heard on air were ours, but the bigger ones behind the background is that of our General Manager Igba Ogbole, who is always ensuring that this program comes your way. We appreciate our GM, the head of programs, Emmanuel Tiavia, and our colleagues. My name is Nathaniel Nongo. I'll come your way again Friday with another edition of Perspectives to endeavor to join us. I'll return you to our DCP, who will continue to take you on the next bet or transmission. Have yourself a great Wednesday, and let's remember, we must stem the tide of corruption, and we must also reduce mounting pressure on political office holders. Thank you very much, and kindly stay tuned to Agate Radio. Goodbye.